Hello, viewers. I have to first apologize. I have been away traveling all over the place for the past 5 weeks, and I really have one more heavy travel week to go. And it's now the weekend. I just got back from a business trip to Europe. I got back yesterday, and I was all week looking at the comments that you guys were sending and commenting on the videos. I cannot thank you enough. I super duper appreciate all of you, and I just thought, you know what, let's just comment together, or let's chat together. So I'm just gonna go through these and see how far we can get and go from there. So, and I apologize for kind of the setup here. I'm in the sunroom with a space heater sitting next to me. It was 49 when I walked in here. It's now up to 54, but the space heater is right next to me. I had this closed up while I was gone, and I just noticed over there I got to fix one of the windows. It doesn't stay in over there, and that's where the draft comes from. All right, we're digressing. So I'm going to try to read this. Read this, whether it's through the camera or directly off the screen, and let's see here. Okay. So, first one here, by request, Lakewood 200i versus Lakewood P223 3rd Gen box fan. Yeah, that was a request from somebody, and I really like getting those requests because sometimes I run out of comparison ideas, or not run out of them, but I'll get a cool idea from someone, and I'll say, yeah, let's do a comparison like that, especially if they don't have the fans themselves and they kind of want to see what they are like putting them together. So I thought that was a good one. So Mike writes, the blades are not 100% identical. If you look closely, the 200i blade tips are more rounded than the 80s version. Also, the thicker one is a model 223, not P223, just 223. So I never heard anyone say that. I never heard that there's just a 223. I always thought it was P223, first gen P223, second gen P223, third gen 200i, and then it like morphed into like the brace blade, and then kind of the end of the line. That's interesting. I never knew that. Okay. There does exist a P223 version of the third gen that has a taller cabinet and a screw grill, as well as a slightly more powerful McMillan motor with a larger shaft. However, in terms of width of the P223 third gen cabinet, it is slightly thinner than the second gen cabinet, which, yes, that I do know. But it's still considered full size as read more, to the plain 223, which is smaller. I have two full-size P223 third gens. One is tan and one is in a beautiful mocha brown. I've actually seen that variant, the mocha brown one. And if I'm not mistaken, my aunt, when I was young, had one in her bedroom. Or as I like to refer to as coffee brown. Okay. All right. So thank you. I did not realize there was just a 223 and a P223 model. All right. And yeah, the P25 motor is a PSC motor with the 200i still uses a shaded pole. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, see that I'm still kind of learning. Yeah, I'm still learning like the differences between the motors. Like I can recognize they're different motors, but I'm not sure of the specifics, and that's where you guys have really helped me. So thanks, Mike. All right. Sammy's my buddy. He chimes in quite a bit. All right. Hey Ed, you may also like to look into Hayer box fan. A Hayer box fan was like a remake of those Banana Blade Lakewoods. The Hayer box fan had the same blade set, but the main difference is the Hayer had a like a grate in the grill at the hub with the slats closer together. The Hairbox fan was made from about the early to mid 2000s, and there's probably still some in existence. I'm not impressed with the Banana Blade Lakewoods, but they're better than the box fans being sold today. Yeah, so just chatting with Sammy, through the comments and whatnot. I know he's not a Banana Blade fan, pun intended. I've always liked the Banana Blades, not necessarily because of performance. I would give you that. I've liked them because I remember when I was crawling on the floor, that's how young I was, my parents having a thin-in light with banana blades leaning against the slider in the family room. And I just remember like crawling past it and stopping and looking at it and just like sitting there looking at it. And so for me, it's more of a nostalgia. I do think the banana blades have a good looking hub. I know I'm getting weird, but I certainly really, as a little boy, liked to look at the hubs of the fans. And I thought if it kind of looked like a car wheel, it kind of looked cool. And some of them are just really awesome. Like I love the first gen Lakewoods, freaking cool. And I often wondered why the banana blades and even the comfort fans had a hole like in the center of like basically the part that goes over the shaft. Like why was there a hole? And when I was really little, I was like, oh, like do you stick a screwdriver down there and unscrew it to get the blades off? I didn't know. I was probably 3 or 4 years old, but I remember what I was thinking. So that's kind of cool, Sammy. And I'm gonna see if I can just do a quick search. Hair. Is that I don't know how you spell it. I always thought they made the like the smaller box fans. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, all right. I gotcha. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I know these fans. Okay. Yeah, I do like them. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of those fans. I might have to pop on YouTube later and just kind of check them out. And Eski's vlog, I know who that is. Okay, cool. All right. So that was on the same video. I meant to say, oh boy, I can't imagine. So the video I did, just do what you want just do what you want. Venting frustration with others in public. Oh my gosh. I think I remember that morning. I was just so aggravated. So let's see what they wrote. frustrating stuff these days. I have a highway in front of my house. It's called the Twin Cities Highway in North Towanda, New York. I see a lot of crazy traffic going on a while ago, and my dad were crossing the highway, and young lady run the red light and almost ran me over. If I didn't have my hand on my bike brake, I might have been run over. My dad was really upset and angry at the young lady, and we were both on a bike ride and ruined our bike ride. And I'm sorry if I'm reading weird, because like the way I have the screen tilted, it like the font looks very light, and I'm struggling to try to read it. So if I sound like I can't read, I actually can read. All right. Yeah, man, that is frustrating. And that video was about, I feel like people, and I'm not trying to get political or anything like that. I feel like a lot of times people just do what they want with disregard for others. And I'm not talking about making life decisions. That's a whole different topic. I'm just talking about like personal awareness, being in the store and people just walk right in front of you. Like they go around the corner and you kind of have like the right of way when you're going straight, and people just walk right in front of you, or they stop. Or my favorite is, I was traveling this past week, as I talked about. I'm walking out of a store, or looking to walk into a store at the airport, and there's like two people having a conversation blocking the entrance. Like they just can't move out of the way, and then they look at you like you're the problem. And it's just little things like that, because that's not how I was raised. I was raised to be polite, give others the right of way, like in situations like that, be self-aware. Another example, I was sitting in a seat at the airport waiting, and there was plenty of seats, and it started filling up as people came to the gate, and this person came and sat down right next to me while talking on the cell phone. And I was getting to the point where I started to physically want to hit people. And look, those of you who do know me personally outside of YouTube know that I'm a very easygoing, like just super easygoing. But I am also 6 foot, 200 pounds. I lift a lot of heavy weights. I run a lot of miles, and you start like you light the pressure cooker within me. It is not good for the person who would be potentially on the receiving end, and it takes me a long time to get to that point. But I'll give one more example and we'll move on. I'll comment and we'll move on. I was at the gym maybe a month ago. That's not the last time I was at the gym, but there was a time when I was at the gym a month ago, and this guy had his AirPods in and was talking on the phone. It was a Sunday morning. There wasn't many people there. And he was kind of far away from where I was working, so it didn't really bother me. And like sometimes I'd walk to go get the wipes to wipe down like the area the bench I was using or whatever. And so then I'd be a little closer to him. I could see he was talking on the phone. And guy probably was like, if I remember correctly, maybe like early 30s, late 20s. So then I was working out at the dumbbell section, and he comes over and he's like working out next to me. And he's still talking on the phone, and like I could just feel the blood boiling inside of me. It is just so like, what is so important that you have to talk through your workout? Go get a home gym, go stand in the lobby area. So I got right in his face, and he was a good few inches taller than me. I got right in his face and I said, dude, you can't be talking on your cell phone, turn it off. And the guy, he turned white. Sometimes people are like that. They walk around with their chest out and everything, but then they get confronted, and the guy turned it off and just stayed away from me. Yeah, it's just so rude. I don't do that. And plus, it takes away from my workout. I go there to get away from talking to people on the phone, because I do it for a living. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, here's one of my buddies. And I hope he considers me one of his buddies because I look up to him immensely, as many of you do. So this was a video, fan rotation week 9. I noticed when some of these they aired like some of these fan rotation videos. I must have been like, I don't know, delirious from all my travel. And when I was posting these up, I think I posted like one of the later weeks before one of the new, I don't know. So I apologize if people are like, look at those and they're like, what the heck is his numbering's out of order? So the Jordan writes, oh yeah, so the video is a fan rotation. And the premise of that video is I was moving my fan collection from the other location here. And I thought before they made their way to the basement, I would rotate in a couple each week as they would come in the door, because I wasn't grabbing them all at once. They're really all here now, but which is cool. But what I was doing is airing, like I was doing 2 to 3, rotating 2 to 3 in just for fun for like a week, right? And then I would just do a little video of them running, and then usually some of the other normal fans that are running, and then go outside, show them the whole deal. And sometimes we would digress and talk about some other things. So that's what that was. I think we got up to week 12. I think some of them I haven't aired yet, but by the time this airs, they probably will air. So the Jordan writes, the warmth held on for a while this summer, but it finally ended last week here. Now he's in the Connecticut area. I'm up in Cape Cod. Bring that 223 by sometime. I'll get the blade off. Yeah, so I have 3 of the 3rd gens of the 223s. As we just talked about, apparently there's 223 versus P223, whatever. So I have like 3 of those, and I've been servicing them. So if there's videos that come across and it's like, why does Ed keep servicing the same fan over and over again? No, I want to get through all 3 of them, and then I'm going to basically decide which one to keep. And I was working on one, and I just could not get the blades off. Like I was trying to get them off camera because it was just not really interesting to the viewer to watch me struggle. And so I stopped after a while, because I know you don't want to rock the hub back and forth, because it can basically stress the plastic around the shaft and cause it to snap. I learned this the hard way many years ago. So you really got to lift straight up and slightly turn the blade, put your fingertips behind the hub and pull up. And you usually need leverage to press down. So from a YouTube video a long time ago, the guy was trying to do it on an earlier P223. He put it on the ground, put his knees on the cabinet, and so I pulled so hard on this fan, I started to bend the cabinet up. So I stopped, and I have a flywheel puller, or like a puller, I should say. It doesn't really work with that. So I gave Jordan a call, and we talked about it for a little bit, and inevitably I'll probably make the trip down there. Might have a couple other I need help things to bring with me, but that's how you learn. And I gotta say, this is why I love this video hobby, because it connects people like us together, and it connects with all of you, and knowledge sharing is what it's about. It's fun helping each other out and learning. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and he's a guy that I learned a great deal just watching his videos. Shoot, I YouTube searched something 3-4 years ago, probably like 4 years ago now, maybe. That's how I found his channel, and now I consider him a friend, which is cool. So, all right, the blades on those Robisons were notoriously awfully balanced. It's just the way they are. Blobs of hot glue on the inside of the hub will balance it out, but you'll never for the visual alignment. Yeah, those are nice big windows in that house. I wish I had better windows in mine. I like the cedar shingles on the siding too. Yeah. So there was a Robeson in there too with the banana blades, and it's kind of cool because I think I'm getting to a point where I'm getting my hands on most of the variants of Robesons, and that one was used. Was that the Frigid one? I can't remember if that was the Frigid branded Robeson or the actual Robeson I have, because I have both. And yeah, it looks like that the hub is like bouncing up and down when it's on. And speaking of learning from others, I watched videos a long time ago of Jordan balancing a blade with the hot glue on the back of the hub. I have done this. I tried it. The first time I tried it was a couple years ago on a Lasko 3733. It was kind of like a test. It was badly balanced, which they typically are from the factory. Those are, and I thought, let me try the Jordan technique, and so it was a good fan to practice on. And then yeah, he's referring to the size of my windows. If you're watching me now, chances are there's a high probability you already watch his channel, which is awesome. If you don't, go over there, check it out. He has smaller windows in his home, and I noticed he had to look like almost wire across the fronts of his fans when they're in the window. Like I remember in the kitchen window, it looked like he would need to do that. In his living room with all the windows, the sliding windows, that's kind of cool how he closes them on there. I had an apartment that had those windows, and I would do the same thing, and I would put a piece of wood in the sill. But what I did when I lived at the other location, when I first lived there, this is kind of a funny story. I had the same issue. The windows are a little bit smaller, and the fan would just miss fitting in there. So what I did was I got two basically eye hooks with like a screw, like it was like a screw with an eye hook on it, right? So I screwed them into either side of the wall outside of the trim for the windowsill, about halfway up, right? And then I would put the fan in, and I would take a bungee and put it across. So very similar to what he's doing. And then here's where the funny part is. We needed to get the windows done. This was 2019, I think. And I wanted new construction windows all the way around. If you ever want to not burn money, but major expenditure is get new construction windows installed in your entire home. I did that there. And what I did was the windows that I put those fans in the bedrooms upstairs were in the back of the house. I had them put in larger windows for the fans. They're like, why are you putting these windows in? I was like, my fans don't fit. So I added money to the project just so I could have a nicer way to put the fans in. And you could definitely find videos of those fans running on this channel. One is Eddie's bedroom, his bedroom at that location. He has a bedroom here too. And then lastly, the cedar shingles. That is such a New England Cape Cod thing. I grew up in Northwest New Jersey. Like when they're brand new, I think they look really nice. But I personally, I appreciate the compliment. I really do. But I'm not a huge fan of them just because as they get old, they start to curl up and they get dirty. This house does need some love with that respect. The other location, we spent, I think it was like almost 15 grand to have a whole, and there is actually video on this channel from about a year ago of me documenting that getting done at the other location. I wasn't living there at the time, but I was certainly paying for it, and we kind of walked through that. Yeah, I grew up with vinyl siding in New Jersey. I grew up in the armpit of New Jersey. I grew up in like Northwest. There's farmland all around me. All right, so cool. cool. Okay. What's the next one? So, okay. This Hampton Bay high velocity fan. This is Eddie's fan. And this was one of the best scores I think we've ever had. And it wasn't just this. If I recall correctly, it was a Lasko oscillating fan, a Panasonic oscillating fan, this HV fan, the three of those, the two oscillating fans I think were from the 80s, and then like a tower fan, free on Marketplace. This old man was getting rid of it, and I remember his comment was when he was helping me like carry this to my car when I went to his house was, "This will blow your house down," and it will. It will. And one of the comparison videos that we haven't done yet is I wanted to. I don't know if I compared it to the B20725. I have to look. I can't recall. I have to go back in the archives and see if we did that video. We might have, because Eddie was really interested in that. But the Vornado Model 80, Eddie's been like at me to do a comparison video on that. I quite frankly think the HV fan would crush it, just because it's just bigger. It's just bigger, and those were awesome. Okay, so this was the initial checkout video. I think at that time I could tell we're at the condo location. Just got one of these for free today. Oh, I got a free one too, along with a Lasko Power Plus. Oh wow, that's also a really awesome score. FB11F, nice. Really good fans, but not quite as powerful as the Patent. All right, I've never had a Patent, so I don't know. I have ones with this blade design branded Hampton Bay, but are quite rare too. Definitely a keeper if you still have it. Wow, all right. You know, most people would probably prefer if they're like, okay, a free one of these and a Power Plus, I think he said, and I had a free one, two oscillators, and a tower. Most people would want what I had versus what he would have, but I would gladly taken that score, his score instead, because you guys who know me know that I'm just not a huge oscillator fan, and ultimately I found those two oscillators good homes to other collectors. And then the tower fan, I think I put it back up on Marketplace for like $10. So basically, I'm not buying and selling fans to make money. I'm a lot of times buying and selling fans to either find something that I know is a collectible, or somebody sees it as a collectible, but it's not as important to me. Find it a better home. You know, I'll always take care of it, but someone who will appreciate it more. That is my first goal. My second goal sometimes is, in the case like this where I sold off those other fans, I use that money to go out and get other fans, because this channel is small and this channel doesn't unfortunately pay for the hobby. Maybe one day, if I keep getting subscribers and views, maybe one day the channel could start to help pay for the hobby, because this is all out of my pocket, and I have to at times pace myself, because just buying this new house 6 months ago at the time of this recording, houses are money pits, as you know. All right, that was good. I'm glad to see that video is still getting some hits. Oh, this is a good question. So my 95 town car, common or known issues. So I am a Panther lover, and for those of you who don't know what that means, so Panther is the platform that was used from 1979 till I think 2011 for the Lincoln Town Car, Mercury Grand Marquis, and Ford Crown Victoria. While the cars on the, like, basically the frame, or not the frame, the body, all of that has changed over the years. It still used the same body on frame platform, or the Panther platform. And I love all years of these cars, and my very first car was a 1987 Mercury Grand Marquis. That was my dad's. He handed it down to me. It had like 100 and I think, I don't know. It had 100 and something thousand miles on it, and I ran it to like 165. I would kill to find that. I'm sure that car is long gone. I don't know what the VIN number on it is or anything like that, but the color combination was an 87 Mercury Grand Marquis LS gray with gray interior, and it had the black vinyl top with the Landau top with the smaller window in the rear and the turbine style wheels, the moonroof. Oh, it was just, oh, I would kill. So my dad had, I think, 4 Grand Marquis, and like he would just get them. And his last one was a 97. He drove it for like 13 years, ran it up to like 265,000 or something like that. And then he switched to Lexus. Boo. And, they stopped making a Grand Marquis. And I was like, just keep driving your 97. Because he drove the 97 well beyond after they discontinued them. And of course, the town cars. I've owned 2 Grand Marquis, an 87 and an 88. 88 was reliable. I ran it. I paid $3,000 for it. It was 9 years old. I paid $3,000 for it, and I had it. So I got it in 97. I got that in 97. It was an 88. So, I mean, gosh, today if you buy a 9-year-old car with 70-something thousand miles, you're not paying $3,000 for it. I ran it to 193, and it was great. It was great. I think I drove it for 6 years or so. It wasn't a good-looking car. It was silver, which is fine. It was a GS, which is the lower package. So it had the wire wheels versus the turbines. The wires were fine, but I just love the turbine style. It had one of those fake full convertible tops, which was ugly because it was like fading on it. I kept it clean. I kept the car meticulously clean, and it had maroon velour interior, which, yeah, it's like, the car was, it wasn't the 87. Like, let's put it that way. So then I went from there to a 95 town car, which I got in 2001. Drove that to 2000, and that had like 50-something thousand miles on it. I drove it to 265,000 miles in about the 8 years I've owned it, and then replaced that with, in 2009, I replaced it with a 2006 Lincoln Town car with 30,000 miles on it, and I ran that up to 100 like close to 160, 150 something, and sadly Rust got to that, which I meticulously take care of my cars, but it just overnight underneath it just destroyed it. It destroyed my heart. So then in 2019 I bought the 95 town car. That brings us to this video. This is identical to the first 95 town car, and I talk about it in other videos. It's the same. It's not the car, but it's the same everything. Cartier, colors, etc. This car I bought with 93,000 miles on it. I think it has 107 on it now. So it's just fun drive. So I get hits on that video, those videos on that car from Panther guys, which is cool because I enjoy talking about it. And I did a video on common issues with these cars. I know them so well, and I just know their idiosyncrasies, and I just know. So I did a video on that, and that did pretty well. So this person just writes, what car do you drive normally? Okay, so that is an interesting question. My daily is a 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee, which I won't go into typing it, but it was started out, talk about it in the Jeep videos. That car started out as a company car. It was my previous job. I got it brand new with 11 miles on it. It now has 214,000 miles on it. And when I left the company, earlier this year, I bought it from the company. I mean, I basically sold it to myself because I was the president of the company. So I basically like bought it and sold it to myself. That's been like my daily, like just running around. And then if I go to the airport, I take it to the park and ride. I take it. And then I think you guys know I also have a 2019 Suburban, which I basically use the Jeep. The Jeep is easier to whip around, of course, than the big Suburban. But I'm also using the Jeep to kind of protect the Suburban in terms of keeping the mileage down. What'll happen is Eddie will turn 15 in December. And so when he gets his driver's license, when he turns 16, I'm just going to give him the Jeep. All right. All right. It's Mike again. This is the version of the third gen I was talking about when I was saying third gen P223. The other Tamwin you have that's smaller is just a 223. I believe this version of the third gen is just as durable as the second gen. Okay. I need to go back and compare these fans. I sold one of them. I gave one a good home. So I'm actually back. I'm down to two. I sold one. Which one did I sell? Yeah, I sold one because now that I'm starting to understand that there's differences, I probably would keep a 223 and AP 223, right? So I'll have to see out of the two that I have if I still have one of each. Yeah, it's weird because this is the first time I've heard someone really talk about this. All right, so, okay, this video, so I've had a P25 since brand new. I bought it the last year when they just discontinued it, and I went back to buy more and they were gone, and they sold it that quickly when they discontinued. And this fan I really don't use. In fact, the most use it's ever gotten is since I started this channel in March of 2024. I get requests to see it in videos. It's fun to do in comparison videos. I won't even use it in a fan's running video or fan rotation video. I just don't want to put any time on it. And I think it might have 30 minutes of total use time just because one of the videos I did, Lamont had requested to see it in a window, running in a window. So I was like, let's put it in a window for the first time. I noticed when I was doing one of the comparison videos this summer that the bottom of the cabinet seemed a little dusty. And it's weird because it sits in a box that's closed. So I thought, we've never cleaned it. We've never waxed it. Never put any oil in it. Not that it probably needed any oil, but we did stick a couple drops in there. So I did I did a video on that. So Jordan chimes in. I find it funny you get told to use an electric screwdriver. I constantly get told not to because people don't like the noise. That's interesting. And it makes a point of like while I try to take what people comment on the videos as like constructive criticism, like, hey, you should try this, or just like Mike in the other videos kind of educating me there. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But when people, like, you can't just do everything for everyone. You gotta just kind of do it your way. And the thing is, it's video, so you can either fast forward it, mute it if you don't like it. That's interesting that he gets don't use the electric screwdriver. I get use the electric screwdriver because your videos are too long. And my response to that is you could forward it, or because I think my electric screwdriver actually belongs to Eddie. until the channel can kind of pay for itself and I can start buying tools because the channel's doing well, this is how I'm going to do it. So that's kind of interesting. All right, Sammy again. What was this? Packing items sold on eBay. Okay, I don't remember what I sold in that video, but all right. So what does Sammy say? I actually paid a lot of money for all my vintage fans. Actually, I didn't even place a bid. I just went for the asking price. I wanted to be 100% sure that I would get my hands on these fans. I figured the only way I'd ever get again to see a Lakewood P223 and Manning Bowman fan personal to buy them for myself. There are fans becoming rare and rare. This day I'm no longer seeing any around like I did when I was a child. Oh, he's very right. Now I have a nostalgia I can keep for the rest of my life. Yeah, he's right. So I did the same thing early on. You know, I was always into fans since I could crawl, really, but it wasn't until probably like 2006 or so when I could see these things pop up on eBay, and there wasn't as many as there are now. But I remember the first Edison. It was the one with the fake wood sides and the banana blades, the translucent banana blades. I was like, whoa, and it was a bidding situation, and I was like, I don't care how much money. This gets me closer to getting one of my coveted comfort fans. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's 2006, and I'll be looking at one of these, motors mounted into the rear grill again. I thought those days, I didn't care what I would pay. So I got that fan. I have it. Actually, it needs a new knob. And then later on, a McGraw-Edison comfort fan. I think I got that in late 2006. And I was like, whoa, I got my childhood fan. Oh my gosh. That fan I still have that I got late 2006, maybe early 2007. That fan is very well documented on this channel because I've had it. I've ripped it apart numerous times, and now I have numerous copies of that fan. You can go on eBay right now and find 5 more and buy them. But to Sammy's point, early on, I did the same exact thing you did. I was like, I don't care. At the same time, things were a little less money back in 2006, 7, 8, 10. Than they are today. It would be much more expensive to do that, especially some of the prices I've seen on some of these things, like that infinite speed fan with the oscillating grill. That was up there for $2-something on there, I think, and on eBay. And it's like, yeah, that's missing from my collection, but do I really want to do that? I think for that one with the oscillating grill, because I'm not a big gimmick guy. I don't like a lot of gimmicks on box fans, and that's gimmicky to me. So it's kind of like if I find one inexpensive, like maybe next year if I go to the fan meet and there's one there, that would have dual purpose because I would have acquired it from another collector at the meet. Then there's some value there to me, but I'm just not going to go overpay for it. But I hear you, Sammy, definitely. The Jordan. Acquired Lakewood P223 3rd gen checkout. Okay. Jordan writes, you're only the second person I've come across that has an objection to duplicates in the collection. On the contrary, I intentionally seek out duplicates. The more of the same unit, the better as far as I'm concerned. This could be high hours but was well cleaned. Someone in the past, you never know once it's been tampered with, which this one definitely was. Yeah, I think part of my challenge with that is is just having so many fans, right? Like now I have this 4-bedroom house, and you know the kids are here every other weekend, once during the week, right? I have a tenant, a short-term tenant, which will be out of here at this recording probably in the next 2.5 months or so. And so what I'm saying is I have a lot of space. And I also have a lot of projects that cost money to get done. And I think the real reason I don't keep copies of fans is because I'm ultimately worried about the space situation, because I'm not set up yet downstairs. I have to deal with some water issues. And it sounds, Jordan, like from watching your early videos of your current location that you had some water challenges too. There's definitely some things I want to catch up with you on regarding the house and water and drainage, because I've seen some of your videos recently during storms and you cleaning out the drains, and I definitely have some questions because I have similar issues. That being said, that's kind of really the reason. And those few bucks, I find it at home with a collector, and the few bucks I get for it either goes towards fans that I'm looking for that I want to add to my collection, or it goes towards like another project unfan related. So it's kind of really why I've done that. Now, McGraw Edison, like you guys know me, the comfort fans, the thin and lights. I'm kind of like looking at some of the Eskimos now. Have multiple copies. Like I feel like I can't have enough of those, especially the McGraw Edison comfort fan. I want basically one that I can use regularly, and then I would have others I use sparingly. I want to have all the variants to it, and the variants can be subtle. The color of the grill, everything else the same, or the badge location. That is my contrary to your contrary, in a sense that I don't mind having duplicates when they're like in my main wheelhouse. Now, yeah, I always feel like I'll snag a Lakewood when I see one. If I see one on Marketplace, I don't care if I have a couple of the same. I'll grab it, because chances are the person who buys it on Marketplace for $10 or whatever is not a collector, and I want to get it off the streets. So I hear you. Can't type. My fears I have.
I'm going to take this out. Doesn't make sense. All right. Yeah, Jordan said that to me at the fan meeting. They were whatever, the auction was going on, and I was like, I already got one of those. And he said to me, he goes, what's the problem with having more? He's right. But he makes a valid point about the hours. All right. Okay, back to the 209 223 from Lamont. Lamont is a big time contributor. He comments regularly. He makes some really good suggestions and comments. Both motors are McMillan, and the one with the white blade, that's the same motor design on the P23, but the older one with the wide cabinet, that's this older style McMillan motor. That both good motors with oil pours. I enjoyed the video, Ed. Awesome. Lamont's like the nicest guy. If you guys are watching this, you're probably watching his channel too. Box fan, these fans look so old. I'm going to take this as a compliment. So here is the ancient 70s, probably earlier set. This would probably be this. I call it the predecessor to the Edison Comfort fan, because it's basically the same fan except as the oval mini blades, and it has a plate that mounts the motor into the grill versus the two metal slats. And I have two of these fans. One is in pristine condition, which will get used sparingly. It's pristine, but it's not like museum. And then I have one that definitely needs some restoration. It has some rust and all that. And that was the first one I got. And I had been looking for that fan for a long time. And then as it goes, you find one, then suddenly it's like you unlock the mystery, and you find that you constantly see them. And getting back to my previous comment, if I were to see another one, I would buy it. Those are on the rare side, and I think they're super freaking cool. They are, they fit in that genre with the P23 and all those variants. Really, really cool. But to this commenter, yeah, that's kind of the point. Yeah, Eddie's Manning Bowman, I think, is from the 50s. That Manning Bowman is a beast. Okay. Shaw. Happy October and fall. Just wanted to say hello. And this video of your fans is very enjoyable, and you have a great piece of property and back. Oh, man, that's really nice. Can't see the mouse. Yeah, the backyard, I didn't cut like all summer because I didn't get a chance to really water it. There's a bunch of hoses the previous owner left here. Most people would just toss them, but I'm going to repair them. And I was overwhelmed with projects, and I just never got to it. So the back lawn burned out. The front stayed green, but that's going to be a priority in the spring for sure. Fans running July 2025. What is your opinion on those Utilitech Polonis mainstays, Hurricane Genesis box fans? They seem pretty crappy. I really, so my opinion on those is you could see the blades to a Polonus or whatever the hell they are there. That's a project fan. That was, for whatever reason, I use that as a thumbnail. That was before I set up the guest room, and I was just like just throwing the fans in there as they're coming in the door, as I was moving in, because I was just looking for a placeholder for them. And that fan, documented on the channel, has a burnt thermal fuse. Eddie and I are like in the middle of that project, which we stopped in the spring at some point because it's our first time ever replacing a thermal fuse. So it's like we found it dead at the condo. So it's kind of like, well, worst we can do is have a parts fan, and that's not bad. So, and it has a bent blade, so it has some warpage there. But the Utilitech, so I bought a Utilitech and I did a checkout video of it. I don't want to say last winter, maybe the winter before or the spring before, but check it out on the channel. You can get it in black or white, which you probably already know. And I had a Lowe's gift card, and I'm like burning a hole in the pocket, and I was just like, let me just see. And I actually think it performs better than a 3733. It definitely is more balanced, and it seems like it moves more air than a 3733. However, I don't know. It's kind of like 3733 just dominates the market, and it's just like that's what people go towards. The Utilitech variants, whatever, I feel that they're a little bit more durable. Like if a 373 falls over just right, like the blade's crack and it's done. Where I don't feel that way with the Utilitech. Utilitech has integrated feet that like fold in and out. They're not removable, which is cool. I don't really like the gimmick of the switch on the front because I like to run my fans on exhaust in the window, and it's just, whatever. And I have yet to take the grill off of it, so I don't know if that's a pain in the neck to service these things. I don't know. I did do a comparison video between a Utilitech and 3733, and I got some feedback there, so you might want to look at that video. But look, overall, everything's crappy today. The only thing I say is not crappy is the Air King, the big Air King, and I would say the Power Plus and the Pro Power fans are decent. If I'm comparing everything to each other, that's one thing. But if I'm comparing everything kind of to like what was available 10, 15, 20 years ago, that is junk today. And even the Vornado Model 80, like it feels pretty rugged, but it's an 18-inch. I think it's an 18-inch box fan with fingernail skinny blades, and it has that whiny sound when it's on high and all that. Doesn't sound like a P223, just like lumbering along. So in the end, if you're buying a brand new box fan today, I tell people buy the Air King. If you're like, oh, it's too big, which go back to the 1960s, everything was that big, or 70s, or even 80s. But if you're like, nah, that's too big, I need it for a dorm room, I need it for something small, and it's like, okay, you don't want to spend the bucks on a Power Plus, because I would say go to that next. Or if they still make the Lasko premium box fan, go for that. But if you're like, I want a budget, it's Utilitech or 3733. If you're just using it on intake, blowing the air at you, go for the Utilitech or the variants of Utilitech. If you're like, I like to use the fan on exhaust, I like to pull the air in, I need something really light, something I throw around, carefully throw around, go for the 3733. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but I don't think they're horrible fans. The Utilitech I just talked about that I have here, I kind of actually use that as like a daily runner. I throw that, the front of this house gets like hardcore sun, and because I have a black version of it, I just throw that thing in that window, and they're going to see what the sun does to the black plastic over time. It may make it more brittle, but it won't turn yellow. Okay. see how many more we got. Oh man, I'm behind. How far? Oh, we're an hour into this video. My goodness. Maybe we will cap it here at an hour because we got some more to do and the comments will roll in. So we'll cap it there. So at least we're within a couple days of when people commented. I really try to comment within 3 days or reply within 3 days. So thanks for your patience, and we'll pick it up in the next video. So the date of this video is 10/18/2025, and we'll jump on a little bit later. I'm hungry anyway. Look at the time. Is it really 12:40 already? Whew. Okay, I gotta get outside. I gotta eat some lunch. I gotta get outside. I'm gonna wash. Speaking of Jeep, I'm gonna wax the Jeep and shampoo the interior and detail it. I also have a second Lakewood P25 that I need to spray varnish on the windings and then reassemble and wrap up that video. And then there's a bush out there that I need to prune. And that's that. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I am going to make sure I tag all of you in this video who commented. We know that my channel is small here at this point in time, but if by me tagging you helps you in any way with your channels, if you have a channel, awesome. That's what we're here for, to help each other out. And keep on commenting. And it's very timely because the next is me talking about Christmas lights, vintage lights. And I have, I noticed Jordan has already kicked off his Christmas at his place in terms of the lights. I am like on the cusp of doing that. And we're going to do something unique. I'm going to try to light up this house. And I guess I'll call it my original location. I obviously don't live there anymore, but lighting up that house is important to the neighborhood. It's a community thing. They really like it. I've gotten notes in my mailbox about the lights and whatnot. So it's kind of like I don't want the whole place to go dark. I didn't live there last year either, but I spent time with Eddie building out the Christmas display. So we're gonna take some of that and bring it here, but still have something going on there. So I'm gonna start documenting my process. My process typically is I like to test all of my lights before I bring them outside. I use C9s, C7s, incandescent. I do have some LED like strings here or there that I kind of are supplemental, but what I have done, because in fear of running out of electricity, as my bulbs break or burn out, incandescents, I've been retrofitting them with LEDs, and now they make opaque LEDs that are supposed to be fake looking incandescents, like the painted ones. And I think it works out pretty well, but I still, when I buy new sets, new strings that are on sale, like I bought a handful of clear white and colored. I think the color ones are painted, which are my favorite. Multicolor C9s, incandescents. There's nothing that beats that. So I have a few boxes of those that I ordered from Lowe's online for cheap last year. So I buy them with the glass, and then as they burn out, I replace them. I'm going to run out of electricity. And unfortunately, I'm not Jordan and know how to handle that. I know a bit of what, conceptually, I know about electricity and balancing the loads and all that stuff. But in terms of how to increase capacity, that's where we get into trouble. All right, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. I super appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking with me through this video, and more comments on the comments to come. Bye for now.